I'm going to do this one on YouTube also. This is the effects of technology and informatics on curriculum development and evaluation. Okay, so distance education is kind of like what we're doing right now. Any learning experience that takes place a distance away from the parent educational institution's home campus can be by offsite satellite or video conferencing, teleconferencing, web-based instruction, which is kind of like what we are doing right now. It can be done through preceptorships when you have students that are not on campus but are out with other people, the same type of thing as internships. And really, in order to see if your distance education is going to work, you really need to have collected a good needs assessment of your internal and external factors to see if there is going to be support from your program. And actually now what we're finding is there's more support for some of the online classes than there is for, face-to-face classes, which is kind of, a challenge when you do want to still offer face-to-face classes. But, blend it would probably be one way to go, because not everybody can take classes in face, and we can do programs totally online. Some of the considerations would be obviously the cost factors, because you do have to have some type of online management system. You should have 24-hour tech support, which would be very helpful. You need to have experience in being able to handle it. I'm not sure what clinical experience is. It's very hard to do clinical experiences online, with virtual reality, which will be in a different course that we're going to take, clinical simulation, education, and technology. You have to decide if they're going to be asynchronous or synchronous classrooms. With the synchronous, that everyone is on at the same time and can chat and ask questions, and usually the control of the mic is given to different people at different times, and somebody is the main presenter. Where we usually do asynchronous, which is you can get on any time and do the work and do the chats and find out what people are saying. But the effect of technology on learning, obviously research has been done, and they're finding that it does well, that the future is going to expand with increased use of technology. The book did make an interesting reference to Socrates, where, that narrative and the talking, and, what are you going to miss with not having that verbal exchange where you can actually relate with people, and is there going to be any adverse effects on long-term brain development with all the technology and the lack of face-to-face and human development and that part of it. So you guys can probably relate to online programs. A lot of you are taking the program totally online. We use a learning management systems. You have to have access to computers and good technological support, which I just said. And what are the faculty's abilities in being able to do online learning and coming up with a lot of varied assessments and activities to do? And and those learning management systems can be very expensive. So converting the classes to online is more time consuming than it would really appear to be, because you have to, upload everything. All courses require that updating and revision. Each time it's offered, it requires all those multiple learning activities, which I kind of referred to already. And, those assignments really require a lot of preparation and requires a lot of discipline on the part of the student to really do all the readings and the assignments. I tend to put up too many articles and things like that, because I like to give you some choices, because there's so many good articles that are out there, and just assign to specifically the ones that make note if it's something that I really want you to read, but to otherwise to really immerse in some of the information, and having the outcomes met when you're really not with the class is something that you really can only do through the assessments that you make. So it's important to have good ones. Okay, theoretical frameworks. We know we are applying theory to practice, and we're going to go back to Malcolm Knowles and his andragogy, because it is, adult learners that are seeking out the education, so that you do expect that they're going to be interested in the material, that they are going to be self-directed and self-motivated. You still have to make sure that all of the materials and teaching strategies are based on learner-centeredness. And you really do want to facilitate as much active student participation as you can, so we do use discussion boards in that manner. Sometimes there can be group projects that people will, be on their own little discussion boards and doing a project, to present to others. The constructivist learning theory is another theory that is really applicable to online learning because you really want to build on the previous knowledge, from each class to the next class. And you do kind of want to know what's come before in some ways. Like that's why taking the course on theories of education or theories of teaching and learning were important to take because then you have those in the back of your mind as you're looking at the different online concepts or even the different things that we've been talking about with curriculum and instruction and evaluation all do relate to those theoretical foundations. Okay, research into online learning. The United States Department of Education has done meta-analysis on online learning, and they have come up with the outcome that better student learning outcomes than traditional classroom instruction. I think that when you think of deeper learning, I have to myself go through those studies and really look at them because right after it, they kind of contradict themselves when they say, well, the blending is even more effective. So again, it's not that they're saying online is the best, although that first one would make you think it's the best. But so the blending, having some of the ability to have face-to-face interaction, and it's kind of like going back to that flipped classroom, having some of the classes be directed, self-directed study, like that andragogy type of learning where you say, okay, do these readings, do these case studies, and then we're going to come to class and be there and we can discuss them and we can see what the different viewpoints are. We can see how did you solve that problem versus how you did, and it can give a richer environment in that respect too, because a lot of times you guys miss out when you're only reading two of the responses on the discussions because there's sometimes really other ones that have different viewpoints or add something that's just pretty unique to them that turns out to be really advantageous for the learner. So again, I think it really helps to bring things together. I would prefer blended personally, but again, most people just do online. Okay, advantages and disadvantages, or your pros and cons. Well, the advantages would be more flexible time for the students, flexible time for the faculty, multiple learning and teaching strategies that can be done, active student participation. You're going to require them in the discussion boards and some, class times when you're with a big group of people. A lot of times, some students won't feel comfortable speaking up. So the online environment tends to force that issue that they have to respond and give an opinion, and so you do get, everybody's participation. Curriculum integrity is, really important. The curriculum is there. You know what you're giving. There's no real surprises because it's, totally uploaded. And once the whole thing is developed, it is less time consuming. You still have to maintain it and keep it up to date and fresh, but and make changes by course evaluation. So if you guys said, one of those assignments really didn't make sense or I didn't feel like I learned anything, then, the responsible thing for the educator to do would be to look at it and make some kind of adjustments, based on feedback. So those kinds of things have to be done on an ongoing basis. Disadvantages, you do need technology support, and that is expensive. And the learning management systems and the computers and the lack of those face-to-face encounters, that humanistic quality. It does take a lot of faculty time to actually create the original online course, but you do get that loss of visible and tactile communications, and I think those nonverbal meanings can make a big difference in how perceptions are. And there's that minimal sense of belonging to that community. You don't really have a campus. You're really not coming to a classroom. So that whole sense of that activity, that scholarliness of going to, the college or, is a little bit missing when you're sitting home in your pajamas and not wearing makeup and whatever. Anyways, you get the drift. So, okay, now we're just going to talk a little bit about some of the application of technology to education, but we're not going to spend a lot of time on, because again, one of your courses is going to have more technology in it when we talk about, clinical education, simulations we're going to do, and, more technology. So this is just going to be a little bit of a short rendition because it is something that Keating does cover in the text, and, just by hearing once or twice, it will be better. Okay, so patient simulations, we all know, are collaborative efforts in a shared state-of-the-art facility. It does foster interprofessional education opportunities where you can have multiple, if you had a school that had medical students or physical therapists or social workers, you can have multiple sources to get your scenarios. Very rarely do you have to write a scenario because all your QSINs, your National Leagues of Nurses, AACN, books, there's all the people that make the simulators have simulations. All right, this is a little bit hard to read on this, so I am putting up just the PowerPoint slides, just posting them as a PowerPoint without a recording, and you can be able to see what this is. But if you go onto the QSIN site, informatics is one of the QSIN criterias. It's quality, safety, informatics, evidence-based practice, and a few more that right now I am totally blanking on. But anyways, they give you your knowledge, skills, and attitude that goes with each of the competencies. So in the informatics section, you will see that they do say what knowledge is expected. So those would be your learning outcomes, what skills are expected to be able to do, and then what attitude, or behavior is expected as far as the patient and the interaction or the teaching and the student and all those things go. It's going to include charting and use of the latest equipment and all kinds of things of that nature. Where do you find good information? So that is QSIN, Quality and Safety in Education and Nursing. Evidence-based practice, quality, safety, informatics, teamwork. Teamwork, that's the other one. See, I knew I'd think of it if I thought about it long enough. Teamwork and collaboration, that's really a big one because, again, we have to start working with that with our students early on as we immerse them into more experiences. Let them work more on problem-based learning in teams so that they can learn from each other and see what the process of problem solving is all about, which is why concept mapping, to really look at the concepts and make those connections is really an important factor that is part of that social learning. Okay, going along with the QSIN theme, you have to go to the American Association of Colleges of Nurses Essentials for Baccalaureate Nursing because that is a whole essential. Essential 4 is Information Management and Application of Patient Care Technology. So really the QSIN knowledge, skills, and attitudes are incorporated into your essentials. But basically the knowledge and skills in information management and patient care technology are critical in the delivery of quality patient care. So how much experience are we going to have to learn about electronic health records, the physician's order entry systems, the new care technologies that are constantly changing and being updated with the new technologies as they come out, patient access to healthcare information, staff access to healthcare information as far as, to help them care for their patients, competence in using both patient care technologies and information management systems, exposure to information systems that provide data about quality improvement. So where's your aggregate data to see, what kind of things are being measured and what kind of safety features there are, and what things are we required to report to regulatory agencies through information systems. Like I know in obstetrics you would have to, report low APGARs or, for high forceps deliveries or, meconium aspirations. So certain falls would be one, medication incident errors would be others. So how we're, getting that data and looking for quality improvement based on aggregate data. So we're going to really look at all those experiences and try to find as many experiences to expose students to technologies, that will facilitate the care, patient monitoring systems, medication administration systems, and so forth. Because a lot of times, there's so much training with these things, they don't want the students to use them. And that's not going to help in the learning. Okay, well that's pretty much the end for today. Every story has an end, but in life every end is just a new beginning. So everybody take care, and we'll talk to y'all soon. Have a great week.